My story with Dianetics begins probably when I was about 17 or 18. But I want to start when I was about 21, and I'm sitting in a psychologist's office for the fourth or fifth time that I've seen this guy, because I've been a little bit cuckoo. I've been having suicidal thoughts. I've been really depressed. My body hurts. I have no purpose. I don't want to go on. And this man, who's actually a very kind man, basically had been telling me that I was depressed and that this was why I was feeling this way. And he was telling me basically because of this or that, that's why I felt this way. And he told me, it doesn't seem like what I'm telling you is really helping you. So what I would recommend is that you actually get connected with this other guy I know who's a psychiatrist. And I recommend that you take this antidepressant drug, which is going to help regulate your mind. It will make you happier, blah, blah, blah. And deep down, at that point in my life, I think I'm actually like 19 or 20 here. I know that's not an answer. And so, enter in Dianetics. I wish that I saw this exact video when I was leaving that office depressed and went on my phone. I wish I would have known that somebody could have said, hey, you know all that stuff that you're being told is depression and that you're really just struggling with, and it's all those insecurities you have, those fears you have, the pain that you have, that all of that, instead of going over here and taking a drug or chasing pornography or looking for drugs of any kind to fill your mind, instead of doing that, why don't you look at it and try to confront it and try to really take a look at it, not just like talk about it, but experience it and work with someone who knows how to help you with that. And no one told me that, okay? But that's what Dianetics is. Dianetics is confronting your mind. It's confronting something called the reactive mind. Let's begin with the word Dianetics, though. Dia means through in the Latin, or the original form of it, and then nous is the second part of Dianetics. That means mind or soul. So it's basically what the mind or soul is doing to the body. That's Dianetics. It's very similar to a word called psychosomatic illness. Okay, Dianetics actually stands to help people who have psychosomatic illness. What does that mean? Psycho meaning mind or soul, somatic meaning body, illness. So it's basically illness that is stemming from the mind or the soul, not necessarily the body. For me, I was about 23 years old. I was in a coaching group. I was learning how to be a holistic health coach because I had all this pain in my body. And I was really struggling mentally. I had just graduated college, actually. And one of the coaches on this call is like, Max, you're telling us that like you're eating the proper diet, you're doing all the good exercises. What else is going on in your life? And I was like, well, I'm really stressed out about this, that, and the other. And he said, well, there's this thing called psychosomatic illness that I would recommend that you look into. And, I read a book about it. It basically said that psychosomatic illnesses are illnesses that are not physically there. And to me, that was like a light bulb, because I go, oh my gosh, like in high school, I was going to all these doctors, and I would get a scan on like my wrist. My wrist was like majorly broken in high school. And the hand specialist is like, hey, there's nothing there. Like, we don't see anything. And I would get all these other MRIs, CAT scans, all this stuff, and they're like, you actually have nothing wrong with you. And I'm like debilitated. I'm like really struggling. I don't know if debilitated is a word, but I'm struggling. I'm in pain, and they're telling me I have nothing there, and no one's giving me any other solutions. So that's why when I graduated high school and I had just a broken body and I never amounted to the goals that I wanted to achieve in sports and athletics and basketball mostly, I decided I would go away to college. I lost my virginity. I started smoking marijuana more often, a couple times a week. I was drinking every weekend. And these are things I didn't really do much at all of in high school, maybe once or twice. So now I'm getting into this very interesting world, and I think that this is actually going great. Right? I'm at college, it's going great, but I come back home, and all of a sudden I realize like I don't like myself there. And that was that time where I realized, okay, the drugs and the sex and even prior to that, taking like psychiatry and psychiatric drugs none of that was going to solve my problem, but I still would not confront my problem. It's kind of funny looking back, but like 3 more years went by and I was just working like 70, 80 hours a week. I was reading personal development books, mostly like money related, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like Think and Grow Rich, a lot of this like personal development, positive thinking type of thing. And yet again, I'm 24, I'm in France, and I'm thinking about ending my life because I'm traveling around the world, I'm trying to connect with all these people, but I'm still not confronting like this thing that's right here staring me in the face because I have no technology. But technology is just like, it's a knowledge of how to do something that actually works. There's obviously technology of like the cell phone and TV and things like that, but the technology I'm talking about is it's knowledge that actually works. So you could say there's like a technology to doing a job well, and there is a technology to your mind, and it's Dianetics. This is an actual technology. It is a step-by-step process where you can confront past pains. And a little bit of my understanding of this is that basically Dianetics teaches that there is a mind called the reactive mind. It's not quite what modern psychology calls the subconscious mind, though that's the best comparison. It's different though, and it's not exactly how they say it is. The reactive mind is basically a memory bank. It's a memory bank of all the past hurtful and painful memories that you have experienced, whether that be physical, emotional, and so on. So it's always recording. So when you are a child and you fall and you scrape your knee and someone runs over to you and you're feeling this pain and they say, "You idiot, get up," or whatever, that recording is deeply ingrained into your mind, and you have this thought that sometimes comes up of like, "I'm an idiot," or "You're an idiot." This is the explanation of where like limiting beliefs come from. I was studying all these like mind books, psychology, like personal development, and everyone would talk about limiting beliefs, but no one ever like explained to me where do they come from. They might say like very broadly that it's trauma or something like that, but it's like, what can I do about that? Again, so I'm basically explaining the reactive mind, and that's what it is. It's always recording, and so by essentially returning to those memories, for me, how this happened was, I had a friend of mine who told me, "Hey, one friend of mine actually, before this, told me about a guy who did like mental health therapy, and this was when I was like 24 and I was like at a really low point. And this guy did something called internal family systems. It was a really fascinating system. I studied it. I did about 18 different sessions of therapy with this guy, and basically that system was helping me to look at my past memories and start to kind of process them. And start every time I would do a session with this guy, this was not Dianetics, it actually did help me. It was a lot of talking, but it really actually did help me because it was forcing me to actually look for the first time at this stuff. That gave me enough courage to start living my life more. I moved across the country to Florida, and then one of my friends out here, she says, "Hey, I have a friend of mine who's studying to be a Dianetic auditor, and he needs to practice basically doing this therapy on somebody. And like he needs to get his reps in basically." And I was like, "Yeah, like I'm actually doing like a therapy right now, but like I'm down, like free therapy, that sounds great." And so I met up with this guy, Doug. He's like in his 70s, super nice guy. And he's sitting there, like just like a peaceful guy. And he just has his peace to him. And he's helping me. I'm sitting across from him, and he's asking me to return to like a certain memory. And he's not telling me like the psychologist did when I was younger, like that you feel this way because your mother or blah, 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 right? He's sitting there and just letting me come to my own realizations about what I'm experiencing. And by the end of that session, I come out with wisdom about the memories that I was looking at. So this is not a sort of dwell in your past type of process. Dianetics is a confronting process. When I say confronting, I mean to look at, to deal with, right? Nothing in life gets better, like your finances, if you don't confront them. And your mind won't either. And so Dianetics is confronting your mind. Not so that you can just dwell on your past, but so that you can look at it and come out with wisdom as the awareness, as the spirit. So now you have wisdom about those memories that you experienced. And for me, I've only done about 30 or 40 hours of this Dianetic therapy, but it's absolutely transformed me. It has allowed me to be a lot less, I would say, emotional. I still have emotional moments. I still have plenty of memories in my reactive mind, for sure. It's been recording most of my life. But I feel a lot more like myself. I feel like a general peace that even when bad things happen in my life and bad circumstances arise and it feels like I'm being tested over and over and over, I feel like I'm going to be okay. And I never, ever, ever have that thought of, I don't want to be here anymore. And I'm just so grateful for that. I'm very grateful that I found something that actually allowed me to be myself more and took me away from thinking like I have no purpose and I'm just going to leave this earth and leave everybody behind and just put a big burden on everybody else. So that's my story with Dianetics. If you're curious about Dianetics, I will link a video in my description that it's like a 30-minute video, basically like a movie that teaches you everything there is to know about Dianetics. There is the book as well that you can get in tons of places. So Dianetics, that's my story. I hope it helps you.